Hey everyone, AmberFrmThVault here. Welcome back to some more Suzerain. We're going to go ahead and jump right back in, but before we do, I just wanted to say thank you so much to the publisher for giving me a copy of this game so I could play it for you all. And yes, I had to look up that pronunciation, so I did have Google pronounce it for me. We're going to go ahead and get back into it though, so I'll see you guys back in just a sec. Ooh, a little nervous about that. Alright, so read the report from Whole Sword, briefing on the current political situation. Oh my gosh, and briefing on the current economic situation. Okay. Oh no. We'll see. I don't like the look of how serious you people are. Minister of the Interior, Minister of Rural Development, and Minister of Economy. Alright, here we go. Simon Hall, Gus Manager. That must be Gus. Okay. And then Leas? Graf were about to arrive at the White Room for our scheduled economy meeting. Oh my goodness. This was the room in the Maroon Palace where all important meetings were held. Two assistants arrived first, carrying a heavy projector. They stood with it by the door, waiting for the ministers to enter. Yes, because the buildings are going to enter. From the hallway, I heard Layla Graf's voice. Leela's? I don't know what to call her. She was using the patient, almost motherly tone she often took in heated arguments. Gus, do you really think such an economically advanced area is more in need of investment than England? Leelis, my interior minister, strode in. She was clad in shades of brown and beige. The only spot of color, a bright yellow Neuris star on her neck. Gus followed close behind. Don't be an idiot, Leelis. What about the unemployment crisis in Greater Whole Sword and Gelsland regions? What about the unemployment crisis? Okay, so where are these places? Okay, so Greater Whole Sword, we're on Whole Sword right now, and then Gelsland, a small region of Sordland bordering the nations of Nargis, Bergia, and Greater Whole Sword. It is the capital of Gelsword. Gelsland. Wow, there's a lot to remember in here. Okay. Whew, I gotta make my brain work. Gus curled his hands into fists. The Minister of Agriculture and Rural Development's temper hadn't changed since his days in the Alfonso administration, but neither had his reputation for getting things done. His far-reaching network of connections was unlike any other. Simon Holt quickly stepped between the two ministers without looking at either of them. He cleared his throat. Good morning, Mr. President. Good morning, everyone. How are you? I am very well and motivated, Mr. Rayne. It seems our ministers are feeling the same. Let's see. Just as expected, how's it going, Gus and Leelis? I can clearly see that. What's the discussion about? Are great to hear. Let's begin. Let's ask what that discussion was about. I think that's probably a good idea. Okay. We were having a discussion about the infrastructure plans. If I may, I would like to talk to you about the... Simon interrupted. We will get there, Gus. No rush. First, I would like to conduct my economy presentation. Okay, let's begin. I'm looking forward to this. Simon pulled a silk handkerchief out of his pocket and briefly wiped his glasses. My staff and I have comprehensively analyzed every aspect of... He was interrupted by a groan from one of the assistants by the door, both of whom are now visibly struggling to hold the heavy projector. Oh, you can put that there. He pointed below the painting of President's soul. The assistants placed the projector next to the table and installed a white screen on the wall. Leave now. I mean, thank you, and please leave now. Can we get rid of him? The assistants left the cabinet room. I was reminded that Simon had never quite had a way with people, but his facility with numbers had made him the most sought-after economic specialist in Sordland. Okay, Simon started looking for his slides. He always carried documentation around with him. So I guess we'll wait. I guess I probably shouldn't yawn. That's kind of mean. I still don't know how to pronounce this. I'm so sorry. Lilias? I'm so bad at names. Oh my gosh. Okay, hold on. All right, ladies and gents, sorry about that. It looks like it wasn't recording me for a while there, so I apologize. I need to reread this all, so I'm so sorry. So you're not going to see it like populated. But basically where we left off was Simon Silk handshake. Okay, handkerchief handshake. So what happens is apparently I unplugged my mic and did not realize it because I could still hear myself, so I didn't know what was going on. Alright, so he was my staff and I have comprehensively analyzed every aspect of. He was interrupted by a groan from one of the assistants by the door, both of whom were now visibly struggling to hold a heavy projector. Simon, oh, you can put it there. He pointed below the painting of President's soul. The assistants placed the projector next to the table and installed a white screen on the wall. Leave now. I mean, thank you, and please leave now. The assistants left the cabinet room. I was reminded that Simon had never quite had a way with people, but his facility with numbers had made him the most sought-after economic specialist in Sordland. You'd think the second time I read it, I would read it better, but nope, just can't read. Simon started looking for his slides. He always carried documentation around with him. And then I actually looked up this name, so it's Lelis, and I believe it said it was Irish, and I would have never gotten that pronunciation out of this, so I'm glad I looked it up. Yeah, it had to be Irish, because it was Gaelic. Okay, so Lelis leaned to the table and spoke. Simon, what happened to the new police station construction in Esterd? While going through his briefcase, he paused for a moment to answer. It got stalled due to government property boundary issue. I have been meaning to look at it. I can take a look at that one. Esterd needs all the security it can get. Sure, more time for me to spend on analyses. His eyes glittered when he finally found the slides that he was looking for. Alright, there have been some developments about the Sordland losing further value today. We have been trying to stabilize it with the central bank. This is where we catch up. Sorry about that, I don't know how I could have possibly done that without... I have my headphones linked into my microphone, and apparently I somehow detached those and just didn't notice. I mean, I have the music turned down pretty low, but on my end, not on you guys' end, but still. All right, the recession of 51 put enormous pressure on the economy, resulting in the collapse of the value of our currency. The entire situation was a significant cause of concern for our administration. What would you like to know about the current economic situation? Okay, so what's our GDP and debt situation? What is our unemployment and inflation rate? And what is the status of the recession? Okay, well, I would rather know what the unemployment is. GDP really doesn't matter. GDP and debt don't necessarily matter if we're currently being active trade partners. The problem with GDP is that it doesn't rate people's lives, it just rates money. All right, so what is our unemployment and inflation rate? Unemployment has skyrocketed and is now at a staggering 16%, and the inflation is a relative high of 7%. All right, Lelis, unemployment is increasing crime and drug use. We need to get people off the streets. The inflation isn't helping our average citizen either. Well, duh. Okay. All right, so what is the status of the recession? All right. The economy has been in recession of about negative 6% for the past year. Average GDP has dropped from lots of numbers. Oh no, am I going to have to do too many numbers? Because I kind of understand how governments work, but not that much. The administration's success depends on our ability to stop the recession. Yes. GDP growth doesn't necessarily mean, though, that our people are being taken care of. Our current GDP is 310 billion Sordland, and the national debt is 427 billion, which doesn't matter. It is hard to fathom that we lost nearly 150 billion in wealth. The past 3 years were tough. Okay, let's move on to economic strategy. All right, Simon scattered the paper stack in front of him in an orderly manner and took a final look at his notes before clearing his throat. Real quick, I know someone who watches this is going to be like, what? You don't think the national debt matters? No, it does not matter. It's literally does not matter. When you're trying to make a good economy, don't worry about your national debt now, because realistically, the national debt makes you a good trading partner because people want to be able to be they want to be able to count on you to trade, so they want to know that they can sell you junk. So that's why I'm not concerned about a national debt right now. I'm more concerned about the fact that we have such a high unemployment rate, because that unemployment rate is what's going to really drive all of the ills. So Simon scattered the paper stack in front of him in an orderly manner and took a final look at his notes before clearing his throat. As you can see, the situation is alarming, but not everything is negative. The extensive privatization program of Alfonso left us a large budget surplus, which we can use to stabilize the crisis. Primary subject we need to settle on is what general path we will take for our term. Solonomics-based nationalism happened in the 30s, and Alfonso's privatization began during the end of the 40s. What will our administration focus on? One of the main promises was to promote a free market economy to stop the recession. To be frank, I believe it is the only way out of recession. Lelis, I still do not support it. Why promote the private sector when we have qualified state-owned enterprises? Because the lack of competition has made them inefficient. Gus, I don't know about that. Simon nodded. Okay, so what's really important about this is, because I don't know anything about the people who made this, the way that they've programmed the game, real economies don't matter necessarily, depending on how the game is set up. So I more have to figure out how the game wants me to play, rather than how, what theories I believe in as far as a political strategy or whatever. So this is going to be interesting. This is really going to be interesting. I feel like this is one of those games you're going to need multiple playthroughs for. So what are the consequences of the free market? The more of the economy we control, the better we can manage the recession. What are the downsides of a planned economy? Humanity in the 20th century is thriving because of the rule of supply and demand. Let's see. Okay, so just because you have a private sector does not mean that, just because you have state-owned businesses does not mean that they're automatically going to be inefficient. And just because you have competition doesn't mean that they're not going to be inefficient. Ask any American about our internet services. Definitely not being very competitive there. So it's not necessarily true that the free market will 100% fix everything. And privatization is usually not a good idea, depending on what your country is exporting, or what types of jobs, or what your focus is. This is hard because I only know American, because I'm from America. I know the way our system is run and how some other people believe it should be run on multiple sides. So this is tough. Okay, so the more of the economy we control, the better we can manage the recession. Downsides. I don't know if I can ask all of these, so I'm just going to ask the consequences. So what are the consequences of the free market strategy? Simon, there are not many, but one could say that we are much more likely to be influenced by the world economy. It is important to... It is important to think about this subject because the upswings of the world economy will reflect good on ours too. Lelis, yes, and when the global economy crashes, we go down with it. Simon, the structural problems of Solonomics were going to lead to a recession according to the predictions at the time anyway. Either way, even if we pick one of the doctrines, we retain the option to make economic choices on a case-by-case basis. Lelis, that is, however, not recommended in my point of view. The last thing we need is a chaotic economic plan. Oh God. Finally, something we can both agree on, Lelis. All right, Lelis, there is another important point which has direct impact on your economy. Superpowers. We have done well not aligning ourselves with any of them. Simon, economically speaking, an isolationist policy overall could only work if we were to reap the benefits of both spheres and their rivalry. This is very dangerous to attempt, but is still possible. Yeah, good point. Lelis, we must be very cautious. There are schemes being devised about Sordland. We cannot give in to their wants, nor now or in the future, Otherwise, our country will turn into a pawn. Okay. I still haven't decided if they wish to come with a deal. Time will show if staying neutral will work out. Sordland will not be controlled by any nations. Exactly, Sol was right all along with his policies. I'm gonna say time will show, because I don't know. We must make it work to protect our country and our values. There is no other way. Gus, we need to be open to other possibilities. Arcasia is a strong country, and if we end up in their sphere, Sordland would increase its influence in the world. The deals we would get surely bring us out of recession. Lelis, in return for what? Our independence? When the time comes, I hope you will make the right decision for our own good. Simon cleared his throat again. I'm Simon. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. Minister Wissy will be in charge of informing you on those types of foreign policy decisions. We must first decide on our internal economic plan. Simon put forward a legal document outlining the possibilities with both economic doctrines listed. The cabinet members looked at me. Okay. So we have to thank Sol and his planned economy for the boom. It clearly shows the success of the system. Oh my gosh. Let's finish what Alfonso started with the capitalist free market reforms. His path was going to enrich Sordland. What's on our long-term economic schedule? Would a free market focus bring us stronger allies? Well, I don't necessarily want to make a choice, so I'm going to ask what's on our long-term economic schedule. Picking a construction company, trade relations, tax reform, and privatizations initiatives would be some of them. Lelis, sticking to a solid planned economy strategy will be the right call. 5-year plans were fruitful in the past. We have to thank Sol and his planned economy for the boom. So I have those again. Would a free market bring us stronger allies? Let's ask that. It would make Arcasia look at our country in a more positive light. They are proponents of the free market economy. The influence Arcasia has on the world economy is extensive. Our economic strategy should be based on internal reasonings, though. That's my biggest concern, because if this is based on like U.S.-Soviet relations, obviously you would want to align with the U.S. right now, but that hasn't always worked out well for non-U.S. countries. So I don't know if I really want to do that. So again, I'm not sure how this game is ran. So it all depends on like whoever made the game. That's going to depend on how they interpreted a lot of history. If I'm using our history like as a guidepost, and maybe I shouldn't. Maybe I should not use our history as a guidepost. It's just that's all I have. Let's move on. I don't want to make a decision. What are your thoughts then, Mr. President? This is hard. Okay, critical institutions must remain in state control. We must be fully responsible in delivering services. We should look at opportunities like privatization to create financial resources. A market economy doesn't require as much guidance and could help attract foreign capital. It's hard to fully agree or disagree with these options. Well, first of all, I think number one is correct. Critical institutions do need to be in state control. I live in a country where I can't afford an ambulance, so I don't want to... I had an asthma attack the other day, and one of my friends was like, should I call an ambulance? And I was like, no, I can't afford that. I'd rather die. So I think that the first one is obvious, that critical institutions do need to remain. But I feel like if I click that, I'm going to be making a decision and locking it in. But we're going to click it anyway. All right. Few could be, and it wouldn't be negative, but either way you make the choices. So what will our general economic plan promote? Okay. Well, if I want to stay in power, I basically have to do what we promised. I don't really see that I have a choice. Like I said, as we were choosing these things to begin with, I wish we didn't have to make these choices before now. Now I feel like, crap. Now I wish I had a little bit more time to think about it. So I guess we have to do what we promised. I don't think it's fair to go back on that right now, because I feel like the game is going to punish me for going back on it. I don't know what to say 100% though. Like, I don't know how the game is programmed, so we're gonna go with our promise, because I feel like that's the smart choice for the game. I can't say that I agree with this, says Lelis. She looks displeased. Now that there is clarity on which direction we are heading, I will work on a good plan accordingly. This concludes our meeting. At our next gathering, we will talk about the upcoming infrastructure investment plan. Okay, now that an economic direction was taken, the ministers dispersed for lunch. Why do I even have a palace? That's my next question. Alright, let's see. Rayne spoke of change and hope. Okay. Sordland today. Economy meeting held in Whole Sword. President Anton Rayne. The only thing I wish I could have done that I wasn't able to do is I do wish I could have chosen to be a female president. I understand why they didn't let me, but it would have been cool to be a female president. Alright. Okay. Radical. Nationalist violence. A man in his 20s has been beaten with baseball bats. What? Okay. Economist. That's a funny way to spell economist. What language is that? Okay. So you guys know the deal. If you want to read, go ahead and pause. Otherwise, I'm skimming things right now. I'll read them a little bit more later on. End Solonomics. They want me to end it. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching me play Suzerain. If you like this video, please remember to like, comment, and subscribe to all the YouTube things. If you'd like to check out more of my videos, there should be 2 on the screen there over on the right side. If you'd like to subscribe to the channel, go ahead and click on that picture of my big dumb face on the left. Click that, click on the bell icon if you'd like to be notified every time I post a brand new video. And those people right there in the middle, those are my patrons over on Patreon. Those are the people who really make this channel what it is, and I would appreciate if you guys would drop them a follow over on Twitter. Those are all their Twitter handles, or maybe if you would just say thank you to them, because that's the only reason I can really have this channel is because of these fantastic people. So thank you so much to that. If you're interested in learning more about the Patreon yourself and getting your own exclusive content, like my entire playthrough of Skyrim, you can go ahead and check that out. It is in the lower left-hand corner in that box. We're gonna go ahead and get out of here, guys, but I will see you in the next one.